Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind, our best of 6A video, second round playoff edition. Thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Dane Stewart. Please be joined by Jeff Hansen. Jeff, second round of 6A state playoffs, really our first playoff game for a majority of teams. Let's start. We're gonna do some recaps, and then we'll dive into some previews of quarterfinal games. But let's start with your best second round game in 6A.
Yeah, I think for me, there were a couple of games to choose from. I loved the way that Syracuse and Westlake game played out. We expected that to be a close game, and boy, was it ever a close game. It comes down to a Skylar Orton game-winning field goal, and what a fantastic story. We've talked about Skylar Orton a couple of times during broadcasts. I don't know that we've done it in a show. He wasn't playing football. He wasn't on the team the first couple weeks of the season, and they get him off the soccer team, and he comes in. And when we talked with Coach Tulane, that first game that we saw him, we said, hey, how comfortable are you with the kicker? And he's like, as soon as we cross midfield. I was like, what? That's crazy. He's got a big leg. He's accurate. He came through in the clutch here. Hits a game-winning 36-yard field goal. This was fantastic, and you got to see Syracuse do what Syracuse does. That rushing attack of Ledger White and our guy, RVK, was fantastic. Riker Van Komen goes for a pair of rushing touchdowns. Ledger White runs for one. Kale Prom, just a freshman. We saw him. Super impressive. Prom finds the end zone. Really, and then Westlake did what they do so well, too. Boston Fountain found Malik Sika for 3 scores in this game. They had to battle back. It was back and forth for most of the game, but it's Orton at the end who gets that big game-winning field goal. Huge moment for Syracuse to win that playoff game and to advance. It's going to be tough next week, but an unreal performance in a great environment out there at Syracuse.
Yeah, if I remember right, around Skylar Orton, I think he had to watch a YouTube video to learn how to put his shoulder pads on, I believe. And then the other aspect was he wasn't there week one. They went back after week one and kind of begged him and drug him to the football team. Drug's probably an overstatement, but what a great ad he has been for that team and comes through in the clutch in a second round playoff game. Congratulations to Syracuse and a big win over Westlake. And a tough way for Westlake season to end. This is one of the best seasons in school history for the Westlake Thunder, and a heck of a battle. Boston Fountain has been an absolute pleasure watching that young man play football. That Coach Ale is doing some great things. We thought he would at Westlake. How about a game that stood out to me, and I'm kind of surprised you didn't take this one, Jeff. American Fork and Lehigh, Region 3. These two teams played in the regular season. In region play. Lehigh got the better end of them in the regular season, not so much in the playoffs. And this was a good battle in this one. You had, for Lehigh, Wyatt Bingham kind of took over quarterback week 6, week 7-ish around there. Had a couple of passing touchdowns to Legend Glasker. And we talk about cheat codes so much this year. Legend Glasker is a kind of cheat code. But, man, Eka wasn't allowed in the end zone by this American Fork defense. We've seen them play very physical this year, and Lehigh they got stymied, had to settle for a couple of field goals a couple times. Nate Childs, remember when American Fork started the year, it was Childs and Manuelo. They were switching drives. They were going 2 drives apiece. Manuelo wins that job, and then he gets hurt, and Nate Childs had to come in. And in a playoff game, win or go home, Nate Childs delivered. Had a touchdown pass in this one, and then also had 2 rushing touchdowns, including one with about 7.5 to go in the game. That was the difference. 21-20, American Fork ends Lehigh's season early. Lehigh, the 10 seed, so they were on the road in this one. Felt like that Lehigh team had a whole lot of expectations this year, but they fall short against a region team. In the second round, American Fork moves on.
Really impressive performance by that AF defense. We saw the physicality from AF earlier in the year. We've seen it really all season long. You have to play physical when you're going up against Lehigh. You mentioned they kept Devon Eka out of the end zone. Those 2 field goals, they were stopped inside the 10-yard line. That AF defense stepped up big when they needed to most. That's a huge win for the Cavemen. I want to stick in Region 3. There was another game that had some really important storylines. Lone Peak gets the best of Farmington. They win 41-14. But it's Kepa Niumetolu at quarterback, not Cruz Christensen this week. And Kepa comes back from injury, and he looks fantastic. Lone Peak they're looking healthy. Tate Barney also came back. He had a touchdown. Kepa had a few touchdowns, right? 3 touchdown passes. He caught a touchdown as well. a healthy look at Lone Peak. We've seen what healthy Lone Peak can do. They took down Corner. That's going to be a problem in that game. Jaron Pula, Kenan Pula, Ledger Holmes, they all catch a touchdown pass from Kepa. And there's no understating how big Tate Barney being back. That run game is really dynamic when you have Kepa, especially. He's such a special athlete at quarterback. When you can have that bruising running back in Tate Barney, it gives them a completely different arsenal that they can choose from and go to. Lone Peak. A healthy Lone Peak is scary.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, with all the injuries they had to deal with and guys missing times, you had other players have to now take minutes and step up.
Yes.
Well, now you get guys back, and so now you've got depth and you've got versatility. And to your point, we've seen what a healthy Lone Peak team looks like. They're one of the best teams in the state. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a Week 10 game, right? They had a Week 10 game. Other team canceled on them, so they had 2 weeks off. Lone Peak did, and they looked like that was a very well used 2 weeks for them. So big win for Lone Peak. It gets a lot harder. We're going to learn a lot about how healthy Lone Peak is this week. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but before we do, I want to go into another game that huge. And it's a region rematch out of Region 2. Mountain Ridge and Riverton. And look, this Riverton team, they've been in so many games, right? Got off to a great start in the year. They are feisty. And lost in the regular season to Mountain Ridge. Now it's playoffs on the line, on the road. And Mountain Ridge starts off this game extremely well. Jackson Hunt with a couple of passing touchdowns in this one to start it off for Mountain Ridge. But then Hunt gets hurt. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this Mountain Ridge team, Jackson Hunt, he does so much for this offense. They can run the football, but when they don't have him, we haven't seen the depth behind the quarterback, behind QB1 for the Sentinels. And so now Riverton's like, hey, we're in this game. We compete in this game, starting quarterbacks off. It was the Mountain Ridge defense that made the difference in this one, because with Jackson Hunt sidelined with an injury, 3 defensive touchdowns, 3 pick sixes for the Sentinel defense, one of them by Cole Uluave, we're familiar with that name. And then Cutler Whitaker had a 35-yard and a 50-yard pick six. Those two, the differences in the second half as the Mountain Ridge defense delivers for the Sentinels with their starting quarterback out of the game. 35-21, Mountain Ridge gets the win over Riverton. Sentinel Nation feeling fortunate that they're able to advance in this one, and obviously we hope Jackson Hunt will be good to go for the quarterfinal game. He's had such a great year, and what will be a really intriguing rematch. We'll talk about that one here in just a little bit as well, but Mountain Ridge able to get by Riverton.
Yeah, huge. And you hope that Jackson Hunt is able to play. When Jackson Hunt is healthy, we've talked about him the last couple of weeks, is that guy that looks like maybe he's the next big thing at quarterback to come out of the state of Utah. Hope to see him healthy, for sure.
See him healthy. All right, so look, a lot of other great games played. We're going to dive into those, but we want to switch gears a little bit and start talking about the quarterfinals in 6A, because, Jeff, it gets good.
Yeah, it gets good in a hurry. The game that I'm most excited for, the game that I think I'm going to be at, Davis and Lone Peak. We talk about a healthy Lone Peak. They're as good as anybody that there is in the state of Utah. Well, Davis is healthy. They've been healthy all year, and they're also as good as anybody is in the state of Utah. Trayden Messenger just threw for a casual 6 touchdown passes against Bingham. That's kind of what he's been known to do every single game. This is a tough test for that Lone Peak defense, because they haven't faced a team quite like Davis yet, that just can spread it out and is totally comfortable throwing the ball on every single down. They've faced Corner, but Corner likes to run the ball, right? They've gone through the gauntlet in Region 3, but those are a lot of run-based teams. Davis is different. They'll spread it out. They'll go 5 wide. They can run the ball, but they'll spread it out and they'll throw it all over the place as well. It's a different test. And when you look at the weapons that Davis has, and Bodie Sparrow and Jackson Itaihow, Tyson Baggett, Isaac Morrison had 3 touchdown catches this last week. There's so many people that you have to defend. And then on the flip side, can Davis stop this Lone Peak offense? I think this is going to be a shootout. I think that whoever comes up with some turnovers, that's probably who's going to win the game here, who can protect the ball and who can force a turnover. I'm excited for this one. I think this is going to be one of the best games we've seen all season long.
A couple factors in this one that I think are huge, and you hit on a couple of them. One, does Lone Peak turn the football over? Mm-hmm. They cannot give Davis extra possessions in this one. 2, Lone Peak beat Corner Canyon. And Jeff, we've talked about that. I think you know my theory on why Lone Peak beat Corner Canyon. Corner Canyon could have ran the ball more. I think that they fell into some tendency of trying to throw. what does Davis do?
Right.
Throw. Can Davis establish a run game? And that might be Ita Iha out of the backfield. They've ran the ball with Bird, but Davis has to establish a ground game. I don't know, right? If they can go and throw for 350 yards and run for 80 and come out with a win, I don't know. I'm going to be fascinated to watch this one. There's so many interesting aspects to this game. You talk about Davis trying to carry the flag for the North. Talk about Lone Peak trying to fight off what was just a brutal region, just with the one win over a corner in region play. They're trying to get back to positive momentum, get back to Rice-Eccles Stadium. This is going to be such a huge game, 2-7 game, and you're right. Jeff will be on the call at that one as our game of the week. Come join us on the stream if you can't make it out of Davis High School, 7 o'clock on KSLSports.com. All right, other games worth mentioning in the quarterfinal of 6A. How about Mountain Ridge and Harriman? Because this was a game that had a lot of build-up. Harriman was undefeated coming into this one. Mountain Ridge had, I think, just the one loss at the time. They were both undefeated in region. Mountain Ridge got the better end. Their defense really stymied that Harriman offense. A Harriman offense which just put up 63 points in the second round against Weber. Messer was all over for Harriman, throwing, running, doing whatever they wanted. Mountain Ridge Harriman 2.0. Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, it comes down to the health of Jackson Hunt. Is he going to be able to go? You hope that he is. I think that Mountain Ridge, having those 3 pick sixes and then having the success that defense had against Harriman, that defense is going to feel really, really confident. Cole Uluwave, Jackson Brown on the defensive line. There's going to be a lot of confidence that they can slow down Messer in this Harriman offense again. But I don't know that Harriman's offense is going to feel more confident than they are right now. Coming off that big performance against Weber, they're going to feel really good. And you mentioned it earlier, when QB1 is gone, the opposing sideline sees an opportunity. Even if the opportunity was always there, there's a mental component to QB1 being out. If Jackson Hunt can't go, you're going to see a fired-up Harriman team, and they're going to look for revenge. They're going to have all that stuff on their mind. But more than anything, they're going to look for winning and advancing in the playoffs. That's what matters, not revenge, not rivalry, not anything else. This game's going to be good. This game's going to be really good. It was good the first time they played. I think it's going to be better this time.
The first version was a 6-hour game because of all the weather delays. This one we'll hope will be a little shorter.
I hope so.
For sake of our crews being out of that one. But look, this Harriman team in that second round game against Weber, Jeff, they went on a 42-0 run.
Wild.
Against Weber in 13 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like that. And Messer had, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, also a receiving touchdown in the box score. Felice Felipe had 3 rushing touchdowns. Isaac Larson had 2 rushing touchdowns. Hamblin had a pick 6. Everything went the way of Harriman, and they would love to keep that momentum. I know they'd love to get a little bit of revenge. And Mountain Ridge, that's a heated rivalry, by the way. Heated rivalry, and now you get a trip to Rice-Eccles on the line. It'll be fantastic.
It's going to be good. One more game I'm excited for. Yeah. Skyridge and AF. Just 2 teams that they play a very similar brand of football. I mean, it looks a little bit different, but they both pride themselves on the ground game and the physicality in the trenches. They know each other incredibly well. There's not going to be any surprises between Skyridge and AF. Keneal Sweetwine was fantastic. He was fantastic. There were some questions about his health. Is he going to be okay? Boy, he answered those questions in spades. He looked great. When he's healthy and when he's going well, man, he's really tough to stop. But AF has had some success. AF, that defense, they fly around, they get after it. They're really physical up front. That game could be closer than people are expecting, but if Keneal Sweetwine is going like that, he's going to be really tough to stop.
You alluded to it earlier, the tough matchup Syracuse will have going on the road at number 1 Corner Canyon. If you were to give the Titans, if there's a certain thing you're looking for from them to have an opportunity to upset the favorite in 6A, what would that be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Corner, especially as a team coming from the north and going to Draper to take on Corner, you can't let the interlocking seas beat you before the ball is kicked off. It's intimidating. It's tough to play Corner for anybody. It's really tough when you don't see Corner and all you see is the state championships and the headlines and all of the guys getting offers. You can beat yourself before you get off the bus. I don't think Coach Tulane will let that happen. That's a really well-disciplined team, but you can't lose during the week. You've got to get to the game, and then you've got nothing to lose, right? Like if you lose to Corner, everyone expects it. If you go out and beat Corner, that's a legendary win for your program. So play loose, play free, but don't psych yourselves up and make it bigger than it is. It is still a high school football game. This isn't the NFL. As good as Corner Canyon has been, if Syracuse could stay composed all week long and then play within themselves, then I think they're going to give themselves a chance. But it is easy. Those interlocking Cs, especially when you don't see them very often, that's a really intimidating ask to do.
You know, it's interesting. Corner Canyon, when you look at their second round game, according to the box score, Kasuga had 4 passing touchdowns. Evans had a couple of passing touchdowns, and it wasn't in cleanup duty either. It was second half. He was kind of alternating with Kasuga, again, according to what was reported in the box score. Corner playing very good right now, playing very loose, very free, and it's shown up really ever since that loss to Lone Peak. Looked like they got their minds right. Man, so many great games this last week. So many fun games coming up this week. So much on the line with Rice Cycles just a week away. Folks, we're going to bring you so much action. Here's the games we're going to be at this week. We will have American Fork at Skyridge for you right here on KSLSports.com. We'll also have Lone Peak at Davis. That's KSL Sports Rewind's game of the week. And KSL Sports Game Night Live. JJ and Sly will be at Harriman at Mountain Ridge. So many great quarterfinal games in 6A this week, and we're going to bring you a ton of them. Cannot wait. So much on the line. Rice Eccles right around the corner. I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with all of our semifinal previews, recaps from 6A quarterfinal as well. For Vince Francis, Jeff Hansen, my name is Dane Stewart. Thanks for joining us on KSL Sports Rewind's 6A playoff recap of the second round.